Suppose you suddenly come into possession of 5 crore rupees tomorrow morning, without any preparation. What would you do? Who would you tell first? Your family, your relatives, your best friend? If your answer is yes, then you've already lost, because what I'm about to tell you in the next few minutes will determine whether you'll be able to save that 5 crore rupees in the next 5 years or lose it. In that moment, it feels like God has blessed you. It feels like life has changed. It feels like everything will be easy now. But this is where Machiavelli's warning comes in handy. Who was Machiavelli? He was a political thinker in Italy 500 years ago. He wrote the true rules of power and authority. Rules that aren't found in books. Rules that explain how the world actually works. He said that fortune is like a woman. She favors the courageous, but abandons those who are unprepared, those who lack understanding. The meaning is clear. What you think is a blessing could become your gallows. Because sudden wealth doesn't change you. It exposes you. Your true weaknesses, your bad habits, your delusions, everything is revealed. You think you've found freedom, but in reality, a new burden has fallen upon you. A gravity that begins to pull everyone around you towards you. Everyone wants a piece of your new world. Now, you might be thinking, this is just not going to happen to me. I'm middle class. I don't have a startup or a big business. I'm not going to suddenly become rich. Quote. But wait, think carefully. How many people in your city have seen their land values increase tenfold in the last 10 years? A metro line came, a highway was built, and a plot that was worth 5 lakh rupees became worth 50 lakh rupees. How many people suddenly got a share in the family business when their old father retired? How many people suddenly received an inheritance from a distant relative that they never even thought about? How many people's small business, small shop, small YouTube channel suddenly went viral and started earning lakhs a month? This is happening every day. It's happening all around you. It might not happen to you. You might continue to live a comfortable middle-class life. But if it did happen, if fate were to strike you, if you suddenly landed 50 million, 100 million, what would you do? Because the real question isn't whether it will happen or not. The real question is whether you're ready for it. And this is where the dark reality that few people know comes in. People who suddenly become rich rarely manage to keep that wealth. Studies conducted worldwide on lottery winners and instant millionaires paint a frightening picture. A pattern repeats itself every time. As fast as these people rise, they fall just as fast. More than half are divorced within a few years. Many become drug addicts. Many go bankrupt. Many fall into depression. Long before their money runs out, they lose their friends, their family, and their peace of mind. But why does this happen? Because these people make a fatal mistake. They mistake wealth for wisdom. They think that once they have money, everything will be fine. I know everything. But the truth is that maintaining wealth is 100 times more difficult than acquiring it. Machiavelli observed this in the lives of kings in his time. Kings who inherited kingdoms, who never fought a war, who never experienced struggle. They were crowned simply by the hard work of their ancestors. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who becomes king solely because of luck will only be able to maintain his power as long as fortune favors him. The day his luck turns, that king is finished. The same applies to money. If you don't develop the habits that create wealth, if you don't learn the discipline that preserves money, that wealth will disappear even faster than it came. So before you celebrate, before you tell the world, understand one thing clearly. Your greatest weapon is silence. The world will tell you to trumpet your success. Post stories on Instagram. Post photos on Facebook. Tell everyone how successful you are. But Machiavelli's law is exactly the opposite. He says that those who shout about their victories invite others to attack them. The moment you flaunt your wealth, you expose your greatest weakness. Art. What do wise people do? They believe in stealth wealth, hidden wealth. People who own everything, yet from the outside, it appears as if they have nothing special. Their neighbors think they live a normal life. They see their simple car. They see their ordinary clothes, but in reality, their influence, their power, their wealth extend far beyond the visible world. Let's take an example from history, Cesare Borgia. He was a 15th century Italian ruler. Machiavelli studied him in depth and wrote about him in his book. Borgia built an entire empire through cunning, charm, and calculated cruelty. But he learned one thing: when you become too visible, enemies naturally arise. His wealth and power aroused more envy than admiration. It aroused jealousy and invited betrayal. Now, let's take a modern example that will explain it even more clearly. Jack Whittaker was an ordinary man from America. He worked in construction and was a family man. In 2002, he won the Powerball lottery, $315 million, approximately Rs. 2,600 crore in Indian rupees. Overnight, he became famous throughout America. And what did he do? He thought, now that I'm rich, I should be generous. He made generosity his new identity. He started giving thousands of dollars in cash to strangers he met on the street. He donated millions to churches. He started buying houses for his friends. He started gifting cars to his relatives. The media made him a hero. Newspapers began publishing his praises. He started getting interviews on TV. Everyone started saying, "Look what a noble man he is." But gradually, what happened? When the media lights went out, when the cameras disappeared, his real life began to fall apart. His wife left him. The friends for whom he had done so much, to whom he had given money and houses, all disappeared when he needed them. And most tragically, his 16-year-old granddaughter, suddenly so rich, drowned herself in luxury and drugs. Within a few months, she died of a drug overdose. A few years later, someone asked Whittaker in an interview, "How do you feel now?" His answer was, "I wish I had torn up that lottery ticket that very day." Imagine winning 26 billion rupees, and then saying, "I wish I had never won." This seems straight out of Machiavelli's philosophy. Because the first and most important rule of sudden wealth is the same as the first rule of preserving power. Hide it, conceal it, conceal it. Keep your power, your money, away from the world until it becomes stable. Until your foundation is so strong that no one can shake it. If luck gives you gold, behave outwardly as if nothing has changed. This isn't about humility. This isn't about being a good person. This is about survival. In this day and age, where everyone broadcasts their lives on social media, where photos of every little thing go up on Instagram, anonymity is your strongest shield. Now you might think, "No, I'm smart. I'll handle it all. I'll manage the attention. I'll decide how much to tell whom." But Machiavelli will remind you what human nature is. Humans are fundamentally fickle, jealous, and jealous. The moment people get even the slightest hint that you have something they don't, they start testing your boundaries. They see how much they can extract from you. And the most dangerous thing is that even those closest to you, your friends, your family, unconsciously start comparing their lives to yours. And comparison always breeds jealousy, resentment, and distance. So the question now becomes, how do you truly protect your wealth? In a world that worships visibility, where everyone wants to be famous and be seen, how do you stay hidden and advance? How do you remain unseen and move toward greater power? The answer isn't just in silence. The answer lies in structure, Privacy isn't just about who you tell and who you don't. Privacy is about how you structure your wealth, how to organize it, how to provide legal protection. And that brings us to the second rule of sudden wealth. Machiavelli's art of disguise, the strategy of concealment. You can't just become rich. You have to learn how the real rich operate. Unseen, untouchable, protected behind legal walls that turn your wealth into an invisible fortress. The second rule is concealment through structure. Hide through structure. Machiavelli taught that a prince should build fortresses. But those fortresses should be made not of stones but of strategy. Tactics. In your case, that fortress is privacy, which looks like normality. Like normality. Even if you don't tell anyone, those around you will sense that something has changed. People smell wealth the way wolves smell blood. They notice the little things. Your new habits, the shift in your confidence, your small upgrades. The world teaches you to display your success. Show it off, but Machiavelli teaches you to disguise your success. If you hide it, who should you tell first? The first person you should tell isn't your friend. Not your family member. The first person should be a good lawyer. An attorney. A modern-day consigliere who understands the language of trusts, the language of foundations, the language of tax shields, because real wealth is never directly distributed. It's structured, embedded in a framework. When Machiavelli advised kings to rule through intermediaries, through middlemen, he was emphasizing exactly this principle. Power works best when it flows through layers, when its source is hidden. In today's world, it means a trust that hides your name, a holding company that shields your assets, and professionals who quietly handle your affairs, while your public life remains unchanged. Exactly like that, discretion isn't paranoia. Discretion is power. Jack Whittaker screamed his wealth and died a hollow death. The Rothschilds built their fortune and remained invisible for centuries. The Rothschild family is a European banking family that has been among the world's richest since the 18th century. But few people know about them because they never came forward. Even when they financed wars and paid kings, they appeared modest. Quiet, even boring. They let their influence speak louder than their lifestyle. This is stealth wealth, an aristocracy of silence. Now people will tell you not to quit your job. I do. But with newness. The point isn't to keep the job. The point is to maintain momentum. Work keeps your mind sharp and your ego in check. Machiavelli wrote that idleness weakens a person, softens them. The danger of sudden wealth isn't spending it. The danger is stagnation, stopping, so don't stop working. Just leave what drains your spirit or limits your autonomy. If your job is suffocating, stifling, leave it on your own terms. Not as an escape, but as a statement of self-reliance. Rhythm is like a statement of your independence. Rhythm, stay active. Stay engaged. Stay useful. A person who works remains focused. A person who sits idle becomes a victim of impulses. Look at the richest people of our time. Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon, the world's largest e-commerce company. Bezos didn't waste his energy on random things. He fortified a fortress, Amazon, and expanded it methodically. Warren Buffett, this is America's legendary investor, one of the world's most successful investors. Buffett spent decades refining a single craft, investing, and at 90, he still gets up to work. He understands what Machiavelli understood. Focus is a kind of power, and consistency is a weapon. A prince who divides his attention weakens his defenses. A man who spreads his wealth thinly invites collapse. Once your habits and identity are stable, it's time to secure your finances from invisible threats. Debt. Machiavelli warned kings to eliminate internal dangers before external ones. Before he described internal threats as external, he wrote that a disease caught early is easy to cure. But if neglected, it becomes incurable. Debt is exactly that disease. High-interest loans, credit cards. These are silent killers, feeding on your carelessness. When your account is full of money, they may seem trivial. They may seem like small things. But compound interest moves faster than greed. A 20% interest rate can devour a treasury faster than a thief. So, look at debt as a rebellion. Like a rebellion within your walls, crush it first. Pay off your high-interest debts before you invest a single rupee elsewhere. This is the only surefire way to earn money. If you eliminate 20% interest, you've essentially earned 20% without risk. Then look at your other debts: car loans, personal loans, even home loans. If the interest is high, cut it. Eliminate it. If the interest is low, like 2% or 3%, consider keeping it and using that money to earn more elsewhere. This isn't miserliness. It's strategy. Machiavelli said that a wise ruler doesn't spend to appear rich. He spends to be rich. When you eliminate debt, you're not just clearing your accounts. You're regaining peace of mind. You're removing the nagging anxiety that gnaws at every decision. You're silencing that inner voice that says this wealth is temporary. Without that noise, you start thinking like a king, not like a servant. But remember, even if your fortress is intact, even if your debts are gone, your biggest threat still lies ahead. Not from the market, not from taxes, but from emotions, especially the emotions of others. Because when you become rich, you don't just take opportunities for granted. You awaken hunger in those closest to you, and in the next stage, that hunger will test you in ways that statistics and calculations never can. Once you've built your fortress, cleared your debt, a new war begins. A war of emotions, a war of feelings. Machiavelli said that people are more easily hurt by a person who seeks love than by a person who seeks fear. The danger in wealth doesn't come from enemies. It comes from friends, relatives, and those who claim your wealth. When you suddenly rise to prominence, people start telling themselves stories. You owe me. You were just lucky. You couldn't have reached this far without my help. Their thoughts come from the heart, not the mind. Their intentions are not evil. But jealousy doesn't announce itself, it comes quietly. The fifth rule of sudden wealth is this: never lend money to your friends or family. The moment you do this, you turn relationships into transactions. If they can't repay, resentment grows. If they succeed, they feel indebted. In both scenarios, you lose. Mother's Mansion warned princes never to give what they can't take back without arousing hatred. The same applies to money. When people think you have unlimited wealth, they start testing your limits. They'll ask for just a small loan for one purpose, just once, for an emergency. Refuse once, and you become a villain. Say yes once, and you become a bank. You become an ATM. So what's the way out? The way out is to help wisely. If someone you care about truly needs help, like with an illness or a major crisis, give generously. But only once, and never call it a loan. Tell them you're giving them a gift, but with one condition: they'll never ask for it again. This changes the equation. You remain generous, but not weak. And the strange thing is, by drawing that line, you'll be able to preserve the relationship for a longer period of time. Machiavelli's understanding of mercy fits perfectly here. It's better to inflict pain once than to endure it daily. Be clear, not cruel. Make a decision once and move on. Look at the examples of today's doorstep. Athletes who rise from poverty often lose everything. Not through bad investments, but through generosity. They become burdened with entire families, supporting dozens of people, and become prisoners of guilt. When the money dries up, these same people disappear. Take boxer Mike Tyson. Tyson was the world's most famous boxer of the 80s and 90s. A heavyweight champion. He earned over 300 million rupees in his entire career. In Indian rupees, that's about 250 crore rupees. But within 10 years, he went bankrupt. His wealth wasn't exhausted by extravagance alone. She was destroyed by countless hands reaching out for her. Wealth reveals the truth. Who loves you and who only wants what you can give. Machiavelli would say this is natural. It's natural. People remain loyal only as long as they benefit. That's why your strength should never rest on their love. It should rest on your limits. To preserve wealth, you'll sometimes have to appear cold. But remember, iron without control breaks. Control without heart deteriorates. The trick is to be like the sun, warm from afar, untouched by the near. Now, once you've grasped generosity, another temptation awaits you: spending. This is where more people have fallen than on any battlefield in history. The sixth rule is old, but will always remain true: never eat the principal. Eat only the earnings, eat only the interest. The rich who stay rich treat money like a field. They harvest without wasting the soil. Poor people who become rich treat money like wood. They burn down their own foundations just to get a little warm. Listen to a story. A family in California won a huge lottery. Millions of dollars. What did they do? Bought a palatial house. Luxury cars. Put their children in expensive schools. Designer everything. 2 years later, they had to sell the house for half the price. Their wealth didn't disappear. It was eaten away by debt, taxes, and bad decisions. They broke what I call the golden rule of a king. Your principal is your kingdom. You protect it. You live off its earnings, not on it itself. Simply put, this means you live off the interest your wealth generates, not on the wealth itself. Machiavelli advised kings to always save because fortunes change, and those who build without thinking build for ruin. Calculate your freedom. Multiply the annual income you need to live freely by 25. That's your hidden treasure. For example, if you need 100,000 rupees a year to live comfortably, you need to save 100,000 rupees. Interest sustains you. The principal remains. Even if you haven't reached that figure yet, start thinking like a king. Every decision about money is either an investment in your freedom or a defeat in the face of a rash decision. Every rupee you accumulate expands your time, your peace, your options. The goal isn't luxury, it's power, profit. But once you've established that system, once your wealth stands on its own, what do you do with it? Where do you invest your money so it grows quietly without exposing you to chaos or danger? The answer lies in the final rule. The final law of destiny. How to create an investment plan fit for a king. Safely, permanently, in diverse locations. Now that you've learned to save your wealth, the question becomes how to grow it. So listen to the final rule. Divide your money into different places. Invest some in land, some in business, some in gold, and always keep some in hand. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And most importantly, never touch your main capital. Live only on its earnings. Don't chop down the tree, eat the fruit. The goal isn't adventure, it's survival. The Medici family, The bankers of the Renaissance understood this centuries ago. The Medici family, the most powerful banking family in 15th century Italy, lent to kings, funded wars, and divided their wealth across countries, across different things, and across generations. They weren't just rich, they became immortal. The same principle applies today. To stay rich, you have to think in decades, not days. Now, one last thing. Even kings need happiness. Set aside a small amount for enjoyment. Be happy wisely. Buy what truly brings you joy. Because real wealth is waking up in the morning and deciding what to do with your time, not showing off what you've spent. Once you've secured your fortress, look beyond yourself. The ultimate purpose of money isn't extravagance. It's legacy. Invest in ideas, people, and causes that transcend you. If you truly understand this principle, you'll see that wealth isn't noise. It's silence. It's not pomp. It's power. Machiavelli wrote that a wise king spends to stay rich, not to appear rich. So remember, becoming rich is easy. Staying rich is war. Luck may give you gold, but only wisdom can preserve it. Build your fortress, keep quiet, and never tell the world where your true treasure lies. For what is visible becomes a target, and what remains hidden reigns. And in Machiavelli's own words, it's better to do in regret than not to do in regret. So do, but do it with foresight. Build your fortress. Protect it. Expand it. And never tell the world where your crown truly lies. Now the decision is yours.